Let's start with President Biden's Title IX and what I'm calling the death of women sports. Now, look at that picture there. And let me just say this before we get started on this segment. The greatest harm is going to come to, besides all our daughters and our granddaughters and our nieces and all the young ladies that play high school sports and college sports. It's going to ruin their scholarship opportunities, and this is going to affect minorities. And I will tell you guys, this is one of the horrible realities of what President Biden's doing with his Title IX, this new Title IX rules. I want you to look there at that picture where you have, I believe this is in Connecticut, I believe, where you have a full-grown, he's a man, and he's playing sports at the collegiate level, and he's dominating, and he's doing this as a girl. Guys, this is not right. This is not right. And this goes against everything in Title IX, but we're seeing this across the country. We're seeing that in our own military. We did a podcast on that several weeks ago. But I want you to look at something. According to Fox News, President Biden proposed changes for Title IX have stirred up such a controversy. And this is what I don't get. I don't know why they're doing these things. I mean, it's insanity. But the Biden administration proposed a regulations on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, Title IX did a lot of good things for ladies, and especially at the collegiate level. It allowed them the same opportunities as men to go out and compete and get scholarships, and it was a huge thing for our minority ladies. And I'll just tell you, you want to talk about systematic racism, you're seeing it today from the Biden administration. Straight up systematic racism. Because this is what the minority girls are going to get hurt the worst in this. Not the rich white kids from the suburban neighborhoods. It's all, that's going to hurt them drastically. But our poor minority girls from the inner cities and out in the rural parts of the country are going to get devastated by this. Now, let me just say what Fox News is reporting. Title IX, which prohibits sex-based discrimination in schools, says to expand the protections to include sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, according to the Defense Freedom Institute for Policy and Study, they released a survey highlighting what they call the dirty dozen defects and what they call the defects in this draft. And Fox News is reporting to this. How parents are just enraged. But you know what, folks? The Biden administration doesn't care. They're just doubling down. Because here's what's happening. They're going to require colleges, okay, and high schools and junior highs and elementary schools to allow biological males to compete in girls' sports, use girls' bathrooms, and use girls' locker rooms, let them shower with them, that corresponds with their gender identity. Now, if you guys think this is crazy, if you think this is absolutely crazy, it is. But it's no different than what they're doing in the U.S. Army today. We did a podcast on that last week, and we wonder why recruiting is tanking. The same thing's happening here. And here's what the Biden administration is going to do. They're going to use federal dollars. They've already threatened to do this. They've already threatened to do this with federal dollars. That if you don't comply with this Marxist culture craziness, they're going to take all your money away from you, your federal money. But they're going to take it a step further, folks. You're going to take it a step further. Now, let me just quote you what Fox News is reporting by some of the people that looked at this survey. For 50 years, Title IX has provided important protections for opportunities for women, prohibiting discrimination based on sex. One of the commenters on this study that they had where they had the comments based on the study that they put out. While parents across the country are demanding the rejection of the woke policies, the Department of Education has instead chosen to hijack Title IX. That's their words. To force gender ideology on children without their parents' consent. And they're doing this rules with the overseer, and this was done with executive orders with the Department of Education. Now, this is where it gets really crazy, guys. This is where they're not just going to take away federal money. They're going to take this a step further. According to The Hill, well, I'll tell you guys, The Hill's not a conservative or a Christian magazine. It's totally secular. But according to The Hill, let's talk about what The Hill's reporting. The rule would take several steps, and this is where The Hill gets it right. The rule would take several steps that pose a severe threat to free speech, not only in elementary schools and junior highs and high schools, but in colleges. And here's what they're proposing, according to The Hill. First, the rule would extend to anti-discrimination, anti-harassment protection to gender identity and sexual orientations. Okay, so this is all the things that you have codified in this federal law in Title IX, which is passed. They're not making this law, the executive ordered it in. Second, they're going to lower the threshold for what considers harassment to the point where it's even, this is according to The Hill, even a stray remark that I don't agree by calling somebody because of my religious beliefs. I don't agree with calling somebody by their gender name, or not letting a man compete, a ninth grade boy compete on the ninth grade girls soccer team. Okay, that will now constitute harassment to the point where it reaches they're going to call it offensive. So you don't have that right. Title IX, okay, now this is going to be, now they're going to make Title IX so severe, so pervasive, objectively offensive, that it effectively denies a person equal access to the recipient's education or the program of activity. This is what they're saying about males competing whenever they want to compete, whether it be wrestling, whether it be basketball, whether it be boxing. If a male wants to come into and be on the girls' team, because for whatever reason, you got to let him, and you got to let them. You got to let those boys dress and shower in the girls' bathroom, or this is considered a hate crime, and it's going to be prosecutable. Think about this. The third thing, according to The Hill, the rule would do is reach speech far outside the school environment. So let me give you an example. That school officials could police comments on a personal social media site. This is what they're reporting. This is what the Biden administration, this is what The Hill's reporting that the Biden administration is proposing or putting into this codified executive order, I guess, or other contexts. Far from learning the environment. This is far from the learning environment. But they're going to come out there, and if you say something about this in your community, you already see what they did to the moms and the school boards for teaching CRT. They're going to come after you. Fourth rule is this. Would allow anyone to report a speech or spark an investigation that's enabling the most, thin-skinned on campus to launch an acquisition. So if I don't like this particular person and I don't, and I make a remark, why is that guy that weighs, that's 6'6", he weighs 230 pounds, playing on the high school girls basketball team? If you question that, somebody that doesn't like you, then it's going to report that as a hate crime, and you can be arrested. You guys think I'm crazy? I mean, I'm just reporting what is written from the Biden administration, according to The Hill. Now, The Hill is a secular magazine. I'm not making this up. Now, you think this is crazy. There was a teacher recently in Ireland that has been put in jail because he refused to call a boy in his class a girl. He said, look, my religious beliefs are against this. His name is Enoch Burke. I hope I say this right. Who teaches history and politics at the German at the Wilson's Hospital School. He was arrested Monday. This has been reported by multiple agencies, but he was arrested in school last Monday. He violated a court order prohibiting him from teaching class. So what he did, the school suspended him because he would not call a boy by his pronoun or his girl name that he made up. And now, according to the according to the Irish News, RTE, he is now, and so he showed up to school, still ready to teach, even though the school suspended him. Now he is in jail at the Mountjoy prison. Well, he will stay until he purges his contempt or a court issues a further order. But the initial ruling handed down by the High Court Judge Michael Quinn, Burke's ordeal began after he refused to call a student who was transitioning from male to identifying as female as a. So you don't use that. That's a hate crime. Instead of he. The educator refused based on his religious beliefs. Now you could say, well, why is it a religious belief? Let me just tell you. And this is going to lead us to our other segment here in a second. In God's word, it says this. In the beginning, God created the first pair, male and female. He pronounced a blessing upon them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Genesis chapter 1, verses 27, 28. Now, if you read that in London Square, that's a hate crime. It's fixing to be a hate crime in the United States, but we are reading out of the Bible. But you know what Jesus said to the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 19? You guys remember that one? Have you not read that he who made in the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two but one flesh. This is Jesus talking here. Therefore God has joined them together. Let man not separate. The Bible does not give us, folks, this beautiful word. I thought preachersword.com had a good analysis on this. This book does not give us free rein to choose our sexual preferences and our gender identity. It doesn't. Preachersword.com said our culture has taken something simple, something obvious, and made it so complex, so complicated that it goes beyond absurdity. Yet the enlightened educators and politicians and the journalists of the world, and I'm going to tell you guys, sadly, some church leaders will nod and knowing that this is wrong because they don't want to be unpopular. Now,